King Charles puts an end to Camilla's ambitious plan to secure a royal title for her son. Welcome back to our channel, the place where we dive deep into the secrets, scandals, and struggles behind Britain's most powerful family. Today, we uncover a dramatic twist that could shake the very foundations of the monarchy. At 76, King Charles has delivered a decision that no one saw coming. He has blocked Queen Camilla's boldest attempt yet to crown her son with royal privilege. For years, whispers have followed Camilla's quiet maneuvers, her determination to carve a path for her children into the royal circle. She believed her loyalty, her endurance, and her role in Charles's life had earned her that right. But the king has now drawn the curtain on what some insiders call her crown of thorns, refusing to let ambition blur the sacred bloodline of succession. This is not simply a disagreement between husband and wife. It is a confrontation that cuts to the heart of the monarchy itself, the clash between tradition and modern influence, between those born into the House of Windsor and those who marry their way in. With one stroke, Charles has left Camilla humiliated and furious, feeling betrayed by the man for whom she sacrificed so much. In this video, we will unravel how Charles's stunning decision exposed the deepest fault lines within the royal household, why Camilla's plan posed a real threat to the Windsor dynasty, and how this power struggle could spark one of the most explosive succession crises in modern royal history. Within the esteemed realm of the British monarchy, where tradition serves as the foundation and duty as the guiding principle, the line of succession is seen as an inviolable and uninterrupted continuum extending through centuries of British history. Recent reports from Buckingham Palace indicate an unprecedented constitutional and family crisis, pitting Queen Camilla's parental aspirations against the steadfast principles of royal decorum. Speculation over significant discord between King Charles III and his wife has escalated, focusing on a bold and purportedly secretive attempt by the Queen to circumvent established protocol. Multiple palace sources and royal observers report that Queen Camilla made a daring request to the king to designate her son, culinary critic and novelist Tom Parker Bowles, as his successor, displacing the heir apparent, Prince William. The purported proposal, characterized by one source as breathtaking in its audacity, has allegedly caused significant turmoil among the royal family's inner circle, jeopardizing the meticulously crafted picture of unity that King Charles has endeavored to convey since his ascension. The king's subsequent rejection of this proposition was not only a private denial but a strategic public act that resulted in the queen feeling, as articulated by a close confidant, publicly humiliated and profoundly betrayed. This incendiary moment has sparked a new conflict in the protracted Windsor narrative, a struggle fought not on battlefields but inside the discreet corridors of authority in the prominent headlines of the media. How did King Charles execute a counter-strategy that undermined his wife's plan? What profound anxieties and aspirations are truly motivating Queen Camilla's efforts to ensure her son's future? As the dust settles, has a tenuous ceasefire been established? Or is this merely a respite before a more catastrophic upheaval? This narrative pertains to a succession conflict that has the potential to reshape the destiny of the contemporary monarchy. The Garden Confrontation, a monarch's urgent appeal. The origin of the issue allegedly began on a seemingly serene afternoon at Clarence House, the London residence of the King and Queen. According to informed sources, the scenario was characterized by tranquil domesticity. King Charles was in his beloved garden, a haven of well-tended plants, enjoying a rare moment of tranquil reflection. A cup of his usual Darjeeling tea was held in his palm, the steam spiraling into the brisk London air. The gentle whispering of leaves offered a soothing backdrop to his thoughts on state affairs. Shortly thereafter, Queen Camilla joined him. However, the serene scene was immediately interrupted. Her typically controlled and amiable manner had vanished, replaced by discernible stress. Her countenance was tense, her stance inflexible. A keen observer of human behavior, King Charles immediately noticed the change. Before he could question the reason for her anguish, Camilla broke the profound stillness. "Charles," she said, her tone kind, but he infused with an unusual assertiveness. "I require a conversation with you. It pertains to Tom." The king ran, taken aback by her candor, focused intently on her, awaiting her continuation with patience. A request in Jen that would profoundly alter the nature of their relationship and the stability of the court. "I request that you bestow your blessing upon him," she said, her look resolute. "I request that you designate Tom as your successor rather than William." A deep calm enveloped the garden, akin to a thunderclap on a clear day. For many prolonged, excruciating seconds, the king only gazed at his wife, his thoughts rushing to comprehend the magnitude of her statements. He scrutinized her expression for any indication of amusement, a signal that this was an absurd and ill-conceived attempt at humor. There was none. Queen Camilla was deadly serious. He meticulously set his teacup on the small garden table, reclined in his chair, and observed her with a nuanced blend of incredulity, exasperation, and an emerging feeling of melancholy. "Camilla," he spoke, his tone deliberate and unhurried, each syllable imbued with the gravity of his status. "This is not the correct procedure. You are aware of it. Centuries of customary law and, crucially, obligation exist. William is my progeny. He is my successor. He has devoted his entire life to preparing for this position. The country anticipates it. The Constitution necessitates it. Conversely, Tom lacks royal lineage. He has no entitlement. This is not only inconceivable, Camilla, it is constitutionally and historically unfeasible." However, the Queen remained undeterred. Her appeal was not based on constitutional doctrine, but rather on visceral emotion and profound anxiety over her future. She drew closer, her voice descending to a near whisper, laden with an emotion he had not encountered in years. "You cannot comprehend what it will entail," she urged. "In your absence, I will lack a genuine role within this family. I will assume the role of the Dowager Queen and an anachronism. Anne has never truly embraced me, nor will she ever. You are aware of the historical context involved. William and Harry have never truly absolved me for the anguish inflicted upon their mother. Diana, I have consistently been the outlier. Charles, the mistress who ascended to the throne as queen, you are the only individual who has consistently supported and protected me." The king averted his gaze, focusing on the flowers he had meticulously cultivated. He could not refute the veracity of her statements. Camilla has traversed a hazardous and sometimes solitary journey within the royal family. She was tolerated and officially acknowledged as his wife and queen, but never entirely welcomed by all members. The enduring influence of his first marriage, along with her contribution to its dissolution, rendered it unattainable. The scale of her request was immense, a blatant violation of the foundational principles of the monarchy. "I acknowledge your concern," he finally said, his tone laden with the weight of the discussion. "I comprehend your apprehensions. However, this is not the correct approach. I need time to contemplate." Camilla offered a subtle, almost undetectable nod. She had planted a notion in his mind. She had transcended limits, but she felt, perhaps unwisely, that the profound connection she had with Charles might ultimately prompt him to consider her request. She had staked her future on his affection for her. Unbeknownst to her, she could not have been more mistaken. The king's contemplation would be succinct, and his resolution would be very public. The ambush at the palace, a sovereign strategy. The next day, the king's reply arrived not as a private dialogue, but as an official, albeit clandestine, summons. A confidential meeting was convened at Buckingham Palace. The event was abrupt, its intent obscured, known only to a select few top advisors and members of the Privy Council. Significantly, the guest list included the principal individuals in this developing narrative: Prince William, Princess Anne, and Queen Camilla herself. While traveling together in the royal carriage to the palace, a serene assurance enveloped Camilla. She saw the official meeting as an indication of progress, a hint that Charles was seriously considering her proposal to deliberate its ramifications with the family. She sat alongside him, a serene smile on her face, certain he was devising a strategy that would ensure a future for her and her son. She was on the verge of in the most cruel manner conceivable, the extent of her miscalculation about her husband's intentions. The meeting was held in a smaller, more intimate stateroom of Buckingham Palace, designated for the inner circle. Only the family core and a select group of trusted advisors were present, devoid of media and superfluous personnel. The mood was laden with expectation. King Charles positioned himself at the forefront of an elongated, gleaming table, his demeanor inscrutable, and his stance dignified and determined. "I possess information of significant importance to convey," he said, his voice imbued with authority. "My forthcoming statement may satisfy some while profoundly distressing others." The atmosphere in the room became immediately charged. Prince William and Princess Anne exchanged a glance of mutual apprehension and bewilderment. They were completely unaware of what lay ahead. "Yesterday," the king said, his gaze traversing the room before momentarily resting on his wife, "the Queen and I discussed the future of the monarchy, particularly concerning the line of succession. She articulated her profound and justifiable apprehensions over her own status and Tom's prospects after the conclusion of my tenure." He paused for theatrical effect. Camilla displayed a small smile, a glimmer of victory, firmly believing she anticipated the next events. Subsequently, the king delivered the strike. "She requested," he said, his tone resolute and steady, "that I designate Tom as my successor rather than William." An astonished silence enveloped the assembly. All gazes, astounded, turned toward Queen Camilla. Prince William's jaw clenched, a muscle tensing in his face as he gazed at his stepmother. Princess Anne's visage, formerly a facade of courteous intrigue, abruptly transformed into a countenance of sheer incredulity, which swiftly gave way to an expression of frigid, unmasked revulsion. It seemed as if time had come to a halt, for any utterance, before the astonishment could transform into indignation. Charles seized his opportunity, directing his attention toward his wife. His tone became gentler, but his comments constituted a definitive public judgment. "Camilla, I adore you. I understand the origins of these worries. I truly do. I want to make it absolutely clear to those here in this room. I will not bestow a crown upon Tom, neither now nor ever. The succession is neither a gift for me to bestow, nor a legacy for me to alter. It is my obligation to maintain it." The Queen's countenance became ashen. The blood receded from her cheeks, leaving her appearance weak and vulnerable. The public announcement, the deliberate revelation of her most intimate and urgent appeal before her fiercest adversaries, was more than mere rejection. It constituted a tactical checkmate. Silently, she rose, her chair grating against the floor, pivoted sharply, and exited the room in a fury. The moment was devastating. This constituted the greatest betrayal for Camilla. The man who had previously jeopardized his throne and public admiration for her had now used that same public platform to chastise and degrade her. He did not merely refuse, he had exposed her to her opponents, portraying her as a cunning strategist. They had coordinated their attire for the rendezvous and arrived in the same vehicle, and she had walked into a trap. For Queen Camilla, this was not the conclusion of the issue. It was a formal declaration of hostilities in her realm. As one door shuts, she discovers a window. Upon closing a window, she constructs her own castle. She resolved that revenge would be carefully planned and delivered with detachment. The Queen's retribution, a conflict of secrets. In the aftermath of the tumultuous meeting at Buckingham Palace, A subtle but detrimental shift began to infiltrate the ambiance of the royal court. Rumors started to circulate through the royal halls like smoke under a sealed door. Initially, these were only whispers, subdued discussions among domestic personnel, furtive looks exchanged among courtiers, and an abrupt tension in dialogues at the mention of certain names. In the monarchy's echo chamber, murmurs seldom remained mere whispers for long. Within a week, the media, driven by its unquenchable need for royal scandal, detected the situation. The tabloid headlines were initially conjectural, suggesting a growing estrangement between the king and queen, but the inquiries they raised became more pronounced and direct with each passing day. For Camilla, this escalating public scrutiny constituted the tipping point. She had advocated for her position confidentially. She had revealed her most profound vulnerabilities to the man she loved. In exchange, he not only rejected her concerns, but also abandoned her to William and Anne. She would not be disregarded again. A chance for retribution arose on the royal schedule, a customary public engagement at Sandringham Abbey. To the external observer, it would seem like a routine exhibition of royal solidarity and obligation. However, covertly, Camilla was organizing something far more malevolent. She arrived embodying the role of the tranquil and supportive spouse, attired in a flowing floral dress, soft and elegant, a sight meticulously crafted for the press photographer's lenses. King Charles stood behind her, elegantly attired in a gray suit, his hand delicately placed on the small of her back. Their smiles were flawlessly synchronized, the rehearsed concord of experienced actors engaged in a familiar waltz. To the world, they seemed a cohesive entity. Behind the veil, conflict ensued. Earlier that morning, before the arrival of the stylists and dressers, the Queen had been engaged in a telephone conversation. She was neither issuing threats nor disclosing materials. Her techniques were far more sophisticated. She was soliciting discreet assistance from a network of long-standing acquaintance and connections in influential positions within the British media, including The Sun, the BBC, and other well-connected journalists from her past. Throughout her tenure as the other woman, a social outcast pursued by the media, Camilla acquired an essential insight, discerning whom to trust, whom to manipulate, and the art of disseminating a narrative with impeccable deniability. She was now redeeming those chips, and her actual maneuver, however, occurred not at the Abbey but later that evening at an opulent charity event at Somerset House in London. The occasion was a lavish gathering of nobles, tech magnates, and media celebrities under the radiant illumination of crystal chandeliers. Amidst the clinking of champagne glasses and the courteous murmur of elite conversation, Camilla navigated with the poise and assurance of a sovereign destined for her position. She laughed, captivated, and socialized. Throughout the entire duration, she remained observant and patient. Subsequently, she identified her target, a senior political reporter from The Times, a reputable journalist who was indebted to her from previous years. While raising her glass in a toast to the charity's triumph, she leaned closer, her voice a gentle, conspiratorial murmur, easily misconstrued as a casual comment. "Charles is relying excessively on Anne and William lately," she said, a hint of feigned sorrow in her voice. "Limited space remains for the rest of us. It is quite regrettable, Bayan. The family has never experienced such division." That was all, a solitary phrase imbued with venom and encased in silk. No explicit allegations, no substantiated assertions, but a strategically sown seed of skepticism. The media landscape changed the following morning. The carefully planned rumor had spawned numerous embarrassing headlines. "Royal divide expands as Camilla excluded," shouted one newspaper. Another magazine wrote, "William and Anne consolidate power as the Queen's influence wanes." The hashtag #Royal Divide trended before lunchtime. TikTok was flooded with amateur fallout estimates and timelines. Morning news shows quickly hired body language experts to study every Sandringham visit clip. King Charles was not watching the news in his Buckingham Palace study. He raged. He saw treachery in large print headlines from his desk. He could understand the situation without a media consultant. He needed no proof. He knew her plan. He recognized her sophisticated strategies, no fingerprints, no direct evidence, but a veil of deliberate disarray that backed her story. She flaunted their private sorrow. She exploited his greatest vulnerability. She mocked his image of a stable, unifying king, which he had carefully built with his mother's death. He resembled a weak ruler, granting favors, swayed by family disputes, and haunted by his past with Diana. Every step he took thereafter would be scrutinized and suspicious. The internal palace damage was even worse. Once united behind its new leader, the court was now split. Camilla was unfairly ostracized, and several courtiers sympathized. Others called her foolish and deceitful. The king lost his court's unshakable support, not just media attention. He called Camilla for another confrontation to stop the worsening. The conference was held at Clarence House on a cold, cloudy afternoon, with light rain on the windows. The mansion's calm felt stifling, like an old, frail item about to break. Camilla arrived with her chin up, emotionless. She sat opposite him with her hands in her lap, poised. No tea was served, and no pleasantries were exchanged. "I am aware of the origin of those articles," Charles remarked, exhausted but determined. Her slow blinks showed reluctance. He said, "You are engaging in a perilous endeavor." His rage was replaced by exhausted resignation. "You think it only affects me, but it undermines the institution. The monarchy cannot tolerate another public, bitter debate, not after Andrew, not after Harry, not now." A long silence followed. She then stated her position in a calm, determined manner. "I followed my beliefs. You left me with nothing, no assurances. Without you, I have no voice, sanctuary, or protection. Charles, I sought safety for my child and me. I've always wanted it." Perhaps exhaustion or understanding eased the king's temperament. "You shall have it," he said, losing his determination. "Tom will be helped. My will shall include a legal provision for him, an honorary title, property, and official recognition await him. Safety awaits him. However it ends there, neither now nor ever will the throne be debated." Camilla gave a firm nod without smiling. It was a victory, but not the crown she wanted for her son. Her lineage was assured a regal status. A temporary truce was announced. Peace never lasted in her world. It was only a thoughtful pause before the next tactical move. Tom Parker Bowles, the Queen's champion, rises. Tom Parker Bowles emerged during the House of Windsor's power struggles. Beyond being Queen Camilla's son, he has become her most vigorous champion, refusing to stay silent when his mother is criticized. Tom and his mother have reportedly taken a strong public stand against Prince Harry, a major step in the royal conflict. According to palace insiders, a recent meeting was more than an argument. It was a major collision that may have ended any chance of reconciliation, deepening an already strained family relationship. Tom publicly stated that he would no longer be a neutral, non-royal spectator. He became famous for supporting his mother and opposing Prince Harry. His assessment was quiet but clear. Enough is enough. After that, Tom and the Duke of Sussex apparently lost all decorum. Interestingly, Queen Camilla seemed unfazed. This was unusual for a woman who prefers calm in times of trouble. She defended her son, echoing his emotions. She reportedly told close friends that Prince Harry's constant depiction of misery had become untenable, and she was done pretending to be happy. Many royals were surprised by this change. Camilla faced implicit and explicit charges from Harry and Meghan's explosive interviews and revelatory books for years. However, she became resolute, persistent, and passionate for her son. The mother-son unity was a powerful statement. If Harry kept divulging the family the secrets, reconciliation was impossible. King Charles has not publicly addressed this controversy, but sources say he fully supports his wife and stepson. The family has had enough public criticism from the Sussexes. According to most insiders, Tom, who has eschewed royal intrigue in the public spotlight, showed raw emotion at his mother's influence. He claims Prince Harry has deeply injured Queen Camilla and unfairly painted her as the enemy in a tale she did not start. His anguished and determined argument has resonated with a large segment of the British press and public, reviving support for the Queen. His current advocacy for his mother is only one chapter in Tom Parker Bowles's fascinating life. He was raised at Bolehide Manor and Middlewick House in Wiltshire without royal protocol. Andrew Parker Bowles, their father, raised him and his sister Laura as Catholics. Despite his slim chance of inheriting the earldom of Macclesfield, Tom has never desired aristocratic titles. Food has been his passion since boyhood, inspired by his mother's cooking. After Eton and Worcester College, Oxford, he began writing about food. As a publicist, he was involved in minor tabloid issues in the late 1990s, but quickly established himself. His career took off when he became Tatler's food columnist in 2001. He has been one of Britain's most prominent food critics and presenters for 20 years, writing for the Mail on Sunday, Esquire, and Harper's Bazaar. He co-hosted Market Kitchen, judged and critiqued MasterChef UK, and appeared on Gordon Ramsay's The F Word. He writes frequently. His debut book, E is for Eating, An Alphabet of Greed, was published in 2004, followed by other award-winning culinary works. Cooking and the Crown. Royal recipes from Queen Victoria to King Charles III perfectly blends his passion with his unique family links. His entrepreneurial spirit led him to co-found Mr. Trotter's Great British Pork Crackling, which has since expanded into other artisanal food and beverage products. Tom's personal life has been both happy and sad. His marriage to fashion editor Sarah Baez, with whom he had 2 children, Lola and Frederick, ended in 2018 and divorced in 2022. He fell in love with former journalist Alice Procopi, who died of cancer in 2021, changing him, according to friends. His son Freddie was Queen Camilla's page of honor during her coronation. This touching full-circle gesture confirmed his family's place in the new monarchy, symbolizing unity and cohesion. As tensions with Prince Harry rise, Tom Parker Bowles has claimed the spotlight. He has moved from observer to participant in the royal narrative, changing public perception of his mother, redefining palace conflicts, and emphasizing that beneath the archaic titles and strict traditions, the House of Windsor is a chaotic, loyal, and sometimes fiercely protective family.